Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Now, I didn't realise this was a thing. Apparently now when you ghost, you get this little meditating animation where you just hover around some kind of transcendent Zenyatta-esque monk, which is fun. But, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I also didn't want to sink through the floor, and I didn't want to fall forever either. Let's just try that again, shall we? But okay, so today I wanted to take a look at two things, kind of a combination video. First off, I wanted to go and have a chat with you guys about the new proposed combat changes that were shown off in the last dev stream. I'm fairly certain it was the last dev stream. It might not be by the time this video comes out, as I can't remember if they're having one again this Friday, because I'm recording this on the Thursday after I got my PC back, so on the Wednesday, which is I can't even remember what the date is. It's the 8th, so I don't know if they're having another dev stream on the I should probably turn that off as well. I can't remember if they're having another dev stream on the 9th, this coming Friday, but I wanted to have a chat with you guys about the combat changes, because now that they've actually shown off what they've been prototyping, shown off what they've been working on, excuse me, I'm kind of interested and kind of excited for the changes that they've suggested. The second thing that I want to come and take a look at is that Hannah and I play this by ourselves on her game in co-op, so as not to interfere with anything that I'm testing and doing here for you guys. But ultimately, we've got our kind of settlement built up around here, near where we've got our weapon testing thing down there that we blew whites up with. And we were playing the other night, well, before my PC died, and it was odd. I saw flames from up here, and we came and took a look, and there was some interesting caves and things containing creatures that I didn't even realise were in the game, like down there, for instance. So what I thought I'd come and do is come and take a look, and apparently there are some other caves across the other side of the map of the Frozen North as well. So what I thought I'd come and do is, whilst we're having a... Why is it getting darker? Is that just the weather, or... Because I've frozen everything. Okay, it must just be the weather, because the weather system is now in kind of full swing, full effect. But there you go. These Jill bird demon things. These critters, these big ass bird demon things were... Wow, look at the way its mouth just stretches open there. That's kind of ugh. But these things, you could get them as companions in Conan Exiles. Not Conan Exiles, Age of Conan, the other Conan game. And they were... Oh, crikey. Okay, that got very dark in there all of a sudden. Go, just chop them up. And I actually had one as a companion. I can't remember where I got it from. It might have been from a pre-order thing, or it might have been from something else. But these caves, they're right on this edge of the map, and so, you know, I kind of wanted to come down here and have more of a look around, because I think all the caves are kind of interconnected, but they said before that there would be caves and kind of subterranean passages leading through from the Frozen North to the other side, to the jungle biome. And oh crikey, oh, that was quite painful. And so I wanted to come and kind of take a look down here, have a little bit of an explore, see what was about for us. So now this looks like an arena, a painful arena to me. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, let's get on to the combat changes. So some of the suggested combat changes are... Well, now I can't see a damn thing. Some of the suggested combat changes are kind of really cool. They sound great. Ah, stairs. Are these the stairs I came in by? Yeah, they are, aren't they? Yeah. Okay, let's go back up to the cave up towards the top. But ultimately, the combat changes sound really interesting. First off, all the weapons have a ton of different animations, so it's not just going to be left and right swipes anymore. There's going to be much more to it. Some of them look really great. And each one has a 4-part combo with 4 heavy and 4 light attacks that can be interwoven. Each one has a different effect to one extent or another, or just no effect at all. And the effects are kind of shown off by different coloured trails that, you know, kind of span out from the weapon as they're swung. And like this seems to be what we were looking for. A bit more in the way of variation between weapons, where it's not just swing and swing and swing, where you've got a bit more kind of thinking involved in how you're going to be attacking people, how you're going to be defending against people, and they've added some other little bits and pieces as well. So the one of the interesting things that they said towards the beginning of the dev stream was that the one thing that they wanted to make sure that they did was tackle people getting away from combos, and as a result, every hit staggers. Yeah, not by a huge amount. It's like a fraction of a second, but it's enough to just allow someone to get in that next hit. Now, the other thing that they've said is that they've added in kind of animation cancelling and the ability to dodge out of pretty much anything, including being launched. So you can kind of drop yourself back, get out the way, and deal with whatever it is that's coming to you. You can try and dodge out of trouble. You can try and dodge out of an attack that you're about to make for a feint, so you can dodge to one side and strike. You know, there's a lot of... Oh, there's actually a hole in the ceiling so we can climb up. How convenient. I don't really know if we want to go down. I think going down would probably lead to the cave we were in before. So let's just climb up. There is another critter here, isn't there? Yeah, okay. There we go. But yeah, so you've got the really interesting prospect of these combos and the ability to dodge, and apparently they're still playing around with the stamina costs and things, because they want the stamina cost to be impactful. If you run out of stamina, you can move, but you can't do anything that requires stamina, which sounds reasonable to me. And it's kind of like I think they said 2.5 second kind of, not stun, but incapacitation, where you can't attack and you can't defend. So stamina and maintaining your stamina, putting points into stuff like grit, I think it is, that gives you stamina, are all going to be far more important. They're also something that I'm actually kind of relying on at the moment because of the fact that I'm down here, and each one of these is hitting fairly hard, to be fair. But one of the things that they're doing is that they're removing health regeneration by default. So if you're wanting to kind of regenerate your health to heal yourself up, then you're going to have to look at eating food or bandaging yourself up, or otherwise kind of finding, because we don't know if sorcery or anything like that is going to have any kind of healing or negation of damage. So, you know, I'll have to keep that in mind. Looks like there might be faint light ahead. Yeah, just a little bit. Where are we on the map? See, we're outside, because the it was like here that the curse wall was. So we're underneath and outside the curse wall down here, which is kind of interesting, which makes me think that this might be a way through to the next biome. Either through the kind of dragon's teeth, or out through kind of this way. Because they could pop open any one of these walls and we'd be able to wander straight through. But with the combat changes again, sorry, I keep getting off track. Maybe a combination video wasn't a great idea, but this shows off how the combat is currently working. You know, I can't sprint, I can't move particularly effectively. I'm kind of stuck having to tackle things kind of just by flailing at them, as opposed to thinking about it or being able to go, yes, this works best against this works best with what I'm wearing. And that's one of the things that was highlighted with the daggers. And this is also one of the things that makes me kind of raise an eyebrow, because they didn't really go into specifics on it during the dev stream. But all daggers are now being changed to being... I'll go up there in a minute. But they're all being changed to being two-handed weapons. So you'll have a dagger in either hand. But also the daggers come with a dodge, a straight-up dodge, that allows you to flip back further than a normal dodge otherwise would allow you. Which is kind of cool, because the daggers are status effect weapons. They're bleeds. They get you in. They allow you to tag people with your status effects and then get away quickly, allowing the status effects to do their job, and then you can get back in. And I like that. I like that as an idea. I like that as a style of play. I like the idea of that being, especially for people who want to play kind of archery focused or ranged focused characters. You know, people who want to put points into accuracy. And stuff like that, because that's just the way they like to play. They like to throw stuff at stuff. You know, it's an interesting idea where you can go, I'm an archer, I carry daggers with me. When I shoot stuff, the shots happen, and then after the shots happen, in fact, let's pull this out. After the shots have happened, after I've taken my various... Oh, here comes another. After I've taken my various shots at my target and everything's been kind of dealt with, then I can kind of bin yak and seal. But yeah, like you can take your shots as soon as an enemy closes in on you. You don't just have to straight up run away. You can swap to your daggers. You can attack back. After you've attacked back, you can kind of jump yourself away and then deal with more arrow shooting or javelin throwing. Now they've also pointed out that there are going to be just straight up slashing attacks, but these are mostly going to be for the weapons that aren't really weapons, meat cleavers, stuff like that. And now this is something that kind of highlighted to me as something that I wanted a little bit more definition on. Yeah, and that is, we've got weapons like the dagger of Set, for instance, the Setite dagger that allow us to harvest certain things. Yeah, they allow us to pluck human hearts out of our enemies once they've had their asses kicked. And why am I sinking through the floor? Okay, it's just a bug. It's fine. But like, what the thing that I'm interested in there is, will the Setite daggers or dagger now be a kind of dual wielding kind of weapon, or will it be a case of of this weapon is counted as a crafting thing, and so as a result you're going to be dealing with the crafting angle rather than anything else. The only other thing that's here seems to be up, so let's go up. And so I'm kind of worried, kind of concerned about that in a way, because I use the Dagger of Set in my offhand reasonably regularly, you know, not all the time, but it's a nice dagger just to have hold of, to be able to use when I'm feeling particularly aggressive, or if I'm specifically going for kind of hearts when I'm charging into things for whatever reason, you know. So it's kind of that's something that I would have liked to have highlighted. Does the Dagger of Set count as a weapon that just by chance gathers certain things, or is it a gathering thing? So it will always be an offhand item for the time being. You know, it's something I'm kind of interested in hearing more about as things progress. Are you guys hearing whispers too? But yeah, like I'm interested in kind of hearing some more about that. But then the other kind of couple of things that stood out to me before I get to the one thing that I've talked to you guys about before that kind of worried me a little bit when they started mentioning it, was that oh, okay, so we're still not quite outside the curse wall here. We're right. Okay, that's interesting. But we've still got a bit of a path leading this way. So let's keep on, just in case we can find other interesting caves and things up here that are related to those Jill roosts for us to take a look in. But the interesting set of things that they seem to have decided on are adding things like I think they called it hyper armor, where ultimately you'll be seemingly knockdown resistant when using certain weapons at certain points during a combo, like when you're actually winding up with the hammer, which is the one that they showed it off more on. You know, you wind up with the hammer, you've got a very specific kind of delay on winding up and kind of aiming to strike, and so you can leave it for a while before going to strike. You can hold off for a little bit, but otherwise if you leave it too long then it wears off. But also they wanted to make sure that you had that extra time to consider, to work with it, and so they went, right, well, we're going to add this new thing, this hyper armor thing, which means that whilst you're winding up, whilst you're taking that moment just to consider whether or not you want to strike now or now, then you're going to be resistant to the knockback. And I'm like, this all seems very well thought out. It seems really good to me. The different status effects for the different weapons really seem to suggest that with the various kind of elements where they've got bleeds, they've got knockdowns, they've got launches, they've got the various other bits and pieces for staggering between blows. They've got the ability to cancel out of those things. You know, all of that seems great to me. But the feeling, the different feeling between each weapon is where they seem to have nailed it. Where you've got axes seemingly that are going to be more concussive, along with hammers, but hammers being the most concussive. You've got things like the polearms and so on that have slashes, but are very much more about driving in, closing a gap and stuff like that. And also being able to not punch through shields, not necessarily doing much damage to the shield more so than it would otherwise, but being able to drive through the shield so that the person takes more damage from it, as a sunder, I guess. And then also there seemed to be quite a significant focus on things like crippling. And this is where things like javelins and arrows come in, where you can fire off and they can hit them in the leg and they will cause a cripple to occur. Which didn't seem to last very long, but it was substantial enough to slow someone down to allow you to close distance. And that all seems really good to me. We got to see a few of the perks that they're adding based on the attribute spreads, and some of those seem really cool. Like, I think it was Vitality, the third Vitality one for 30 points in Vitality, that allowed us innate natural health regen. Again, I think they had up to 50, so it was either 5 or 6 different kind of attribute perks as you went, but we'll see that hopefully in the near future when all of this stuff gets rolled out. The thing that I actually wanted to touch on most, though, in regards to the combat changes, because obviously I want to discuss them from the dev stream, sure, but I don't want to go through them in detail. That's why I'm not pulling up screenshots. I'm not kind of rerunning video from the dev stream, purely because firstly that would take an awful lot more time, but also I want to actually get in and have a look at the combat changes when they're introduced to the game, so that I can test them, so that I want to set up a little bit of an arena, and then once we've set up the arena, I want to get in and kind of face off against a few spawned in NPCs and things, because as said, these combos are now happening, and the combos are attached to weapons, and apparently you might have different combos attached to different enemies as well amongst the humans that are actually using these weapons, which sounds cool to me. You get into the Stygians and they're using a lot more bleeds and a lot more kind of poison weapons and things like that. You get in towards the Sumerians and they're crippling and launching you. I like the idea of that, and also apparently the higher level the NPC, the more of a combo or the more advanced combos they'll be using, which also sounds good, because if you've managed to get yourself a whole load of level 3 or level 4 thralls that are protecting your base, then there is now a legitimate and obvious kind of they are more difficult to face down, even if they're using the less advanced weaponry, less advanced materials in their armor. Then they're still going to be potent. They're still going to do their job. Obviously they'll still be cut down faster, but they've got more of a chance not to be, which is something that I like the idea of in a lot of different ways. But as said, the one thing that stands out they have added, but which actually after seeing it in practice doesn't bother me as much as it did, or the idea of it did, is the idea of the lock-on system. And the lock-on system that they've suggested is it is a hard lock-on, but it's not compulsory. So if you are quite happy with the little white dot crosshair and you're comfortable with swinging and moving and kind of dealing with whatever comes your way, then that's great. You're fine. You're sorted. You don't have to use it. You won't ever have to use it for whatever reason. But for the individuals that do want to use it, then it's there, and it's going to be a hard lock on. There's going to be a little bit of camera movement. They're still tuning things, obviously. And so you can't lead shots or anything like that, but you can maintain your focus on a target. And it seemed not very Dark Souls, but kind of Dark Souls in the way that it was kind of the characters were moving and rolling, but their focus was on this one individual character stood in front of them. And I can see it being useful for bosses. especially. But the other thing that stands out is that bosses, even if you're locked onto them, even if you're focused on them, even if that's the thing that you're going for and you're having a good go at them, you're not always going to just hit them. So if you've got a group of people in melee all hammering away at this boss monster that they're all using the auto, the kind of targeting lock on, then I feel like you're still going to be swiping at your mates. You're still going to be potentially killing your friends. Provided that's something that there are enough of you to cause. For instance, if there are only two of you and one's on one side and one's on the other, and you're using the auto lock and you're keeping your distance, then you're probably going to be fine. So Hannah might not ever kill me again with this system, which would be nice. But it does mean that you could have a bit of a problem with lots of people. But also, the thing that stands out is that it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because it zooms you right in. It brings you much, much closer to your character, and as a result of focusing on your opponent. And so, it allows you to kind of keep track of your immediate combat situation with that one person, but it's not going to help you outside of that. Furthermore, it's got a range on it, so you can't use it purely to pick people out in the distance with a bow, which I'm glad of, because if you've got people who are going for a more stealth-focused approach, if you've got people who are investing in climbing, in their ability to scamper around, then you don't want people just to pick them out. Some elaborate siege that allows for infiltrators to climb up the outside of a base, jump inside, get towards the gates to open it up, all that kind of thing. If that's a thing that's going on, if that's a thing that you've got planned, if that's a thing that you're working with, then you don't really want to have people just picking you out whilst you're trying to hide. Also, solid objects, things like walls, pillars, stuff like that, breaks the target lock. So it's been well implemented from what they've shown us so far. I'm interested to get my hands on it, especially considering that you guys have seen my attributes time and time again. I've whoops, don't attack me please, ball. With my attributes as they are, they're very balanced, they're very evenly spread, because that's the way that I tend to like to play. But that does mean that, for instance, at the moment, I don't think I'll be able to get hold of the health regeneration perk. And so as a result, that means I'm going to have to focus much more on kind of getting hold of food or carrying bandages and stuff like that with me. Oh. No, stop. I'm trying to talk to the people. But yeah, so we've got a set of interesting things that they're looking to add to the game, and as and when they actually add them, then I will go through every single weapon. I will go through kind of every single change that they've made. I'll go through all of the perks, because I want to test them out as well. I want to have a good play around with them, especially considering, as I said, we're getting a little bit of drop. For some reason, I always come to this part here, just where this water is, and that's that. One of the other changes that they mentioned, by the way, now when you jump in the water, you're going to be locked to the top of it, so you won't dive unless you expressly go, I want to go underwater please, and tilt yourself under. Which is a nice change, so you won't just drown as a result of sitting in water. That's always pleasant. But yeah, it's a lot of interesting stuff. Almost all of it positive. Some of which the stuff that isn't positive, in my opinion, isn't that it's not. It's not positive just because they've added it or that they're adding it and they want to do it. The only thing that stands out as not positive to me is that a couple of things that could be counted as weapons weren't specified because they weren't talked about, which I'd like some clarity on. Which hopefully they said that they'll release to test live sometime mid-February, so probably sometime over the next week or so, and then subsequent to that we'll probably see, I don't know, maybe another couple of weeks after that, I would hope. If they seem to already have it in pretty good working order, so then that's a bear. But they seem to have it in pretty good working order already, so having them then just do the last few tweaks and kind of sort some stuff out and then add it into the game, that's what I'd like to see. That's where I'd like to be. So kind of end of this month, end of February, is where I'm hoping we start to see the new combat changes being introduced, so that we can actually have a play around with them, so that we can start seeing what we can do with the new perks, because they showed off some of them. They didn't go through all of them. They showed off like strength for like the extra damage and every strike doing a status effect, or every and then there was another one for accuracy, I believe, which was every arrow does a cripple. I'd like to see more of the others outside of that. We'll have to wait and see. Is this a friendly person, or is this someone that's going to try and kill me? Excuse me, friend. Can I talk to you? Oh, no. This was a bad idea. But yeah, so like we've got some interesting stuff coming up, and it's interesting stuff that isn't just coming up that I'm really excited for. It's stuff that will hopefully just improve the game to no end. The core of this game is there are, as they've suggested in the tagline of kind of conquer and survive and all that jazz. Like there are a few core elements to this game. One of them is purely social, but obviously you can play the game by yourself, in which case the social element will hopefully be replaced by a story element. At which point then, when you're looking at the rest of it, you've got, aha, this is the place I wanted to come and find. But then when you've got the other two elements of the game, you've got the building and crafting, which is everything from harvesting materials to then building them into impressive structures or daft structures or whatever it is that you want to do with them. Roleplay focused structures. And then you've got the other element of it, which is the combat, be that PvP or PvE. You've got the various kind of areas of combat that they're looking to cover, and some of them I would say that they've covered pretty well so far. Oh, excuse me. Some of them they've covered pretty well so far already. Ooh, a journal. Song? Poem? Something like that. Okay, so... Ooh, I do not have the required item. Well, this is fascinating. So we need blood of some sort to open the door. Huh. This is something interesting that I did not know was here. I got told, like when I was exploring with Hannah, we found the other caves, and then we were like, is this marked anywhere on a map or anything. So we took a look online, and we came and found that there was also something over here for us to come and take a look at. So maybe I'll have a hunt around for some kind of blood item that we can use to open this and have a look inside later on. But I keep getting off the topic of the combat changes, because the combat changes are fascinating, but I can't show them to you yet, and that's what I want to do. But the most exciting change to me is that they've taken into account, or it's not even a change, the most exciting thing about the combat changes as a whole is that they've taken into account some players are here to just bash stuff, in which case you can hammer your light combo ad infinitum and still kill a thing. But some people are here for something more, and so you can change it up between your light and your heavy combos, and you can make a big impact on the battlefield just by paying attention to what people are doing, when people are staggered, when people are rolling away, and stuff like that. And the biggest thing about the rolling away is that they seem to have kind of immunity frames as you're moving with the dodge, which is really, really useful. And other games have used a dodge in that same way. But in this game, because it's going to be very skill focused, those immunity frames, considering that they're short-lived and combat can at times be on a much larger scale, you know, we've got more to pay attention to during the fight. And so it's not going to be like certain MMOs and things like that have added a dodge mechanic where the dodge mechanic has started to overstep into other areas of the combat so that it lessens the interactions in combat between people that want to play tank, for instance, who want to be in the way because the tanking mechanics for the game have basically been overridden by dodging. You know, there are a few games that I can think of that have kind of had that come into it. But in this, like, you're even if you're a tank in this game, even if you're wearing heavy armor and you've got all the vitality, you've got the health regen, you've got all the other stuff that's kind of sat with you, you're still going to have to go and look at dodging. You know, you're not going to dodge as far or in as kind of substantial a way as someone wearing a lighter armor set, but you still have to do it because otherwise you're going to get pegged enough times and you're going to die. You know, especially if people are crippling you and stuff like that as well because of where you're stood in the combat, that's going to cause you more issues. And the one other thing that stood out is that they took into account that people who aren't going to be using shields or offhands of some description are going to be at a slight disadvantage, and as a result, they've added kicking as a replacement for that, just to allow people to generate some more space and to do some other bits and pieces. And of course, they've revamped the animations and the way that hand-to-hand combat works as well, where you kind of flail around like a drunk person. So what I'm hoping for is that we'll see that over the next couple of weeks. So next week I might go back to building the third perch-proof base with all of its weaknesses and all of its daftness. I'll possibly come and take a look at this if I can find the item, the blood item that we need to get inside. But otherwise, what I'm thinking that I'll do is I'll wait until the actual combat changes come out in full to go through them one by one by one. Like, I will find somewhere and set up a large arena of one sort or another for us to mess around in, and I will spawn in individual combatants with I will try and have a full array of all of the various weapons, and we'll go through them one by one. But until that point, combat changes to me look good. They look sound and they look well thought out, with strengths and weaknesses running through all the different weapons and all of the different means by which to engage in combat, be it through the targeting system, the lock-on, be it through not using it and just using your eye to judge where you're going to hit, and through the different ways that the different weapons play now with the various status effects and other kind of impactful elements like the hyper armor and like invulnerability frames and things through the dodging, and the animation cancelling, all of that rolled together looks for a really sturdy combat system that hopefully all the people that were going, oh, the combat in this game is lame, well, yeah, it's early access, we've got this new thing coming in, let's see how it works. It sounds much better. It's not as directional as maybe I would have liked it, where you'd be able to move in a direction and swipe and it do something more, but this seems to be a nice middle ground where you've got the combinations of button presses and whatever else just to get you through the combat, and into using the different combinations, and also having different people do different things. You know, if you've got a party of a group of people all using hammers, then fine, you might be able to juggle someone from person to person to person using their combo. But if you've got one person using a sword, one person using an axe, one person using a hammer, and one person using daggers, then you've got crippling going on, you've got bleeding going on, you've got knockdowns and launches and sunders. And so as a result, you've got this combination rolling around, especially for things like boss monsters, where, again, as I said before, the attributes that we've got, once we've got them from the perks from the attributes rather, once we've got those, they can be rolled out to other AI, they can be rolled out to boss monsters that have some of those abilities, and it makes for a more interesting and challenging experience for us when they can also tackle us on an even footing. You know, as you guys saw when Hannah and I went into the Black Keep and took on the boss there, the Death Knight dude, whose name I can't remember. When we went in and took him on, all we did was kind of hit him with some gas orbs, throw some javelins and some arrows, and then run up and beat him a little bit and run away. And I think he swung at us all of like 2 or 3 times, because he's a slow kind of titanic force that when it hits you, he will do a lot of damage, but otherwise he doesn't do much to you. So, you know, in that situation, we were able to tackle that head on. He wasn't so much of a threat, he was just an obstacle. What I'd like to see is if you took some of the perks that are more tanky, applied them to him, gave him some more interesting stuff to do with his weapon, considering that two-handed swords as well are coming in with the new stuff for the combat system. You know, it'll allow a bit more breadth to both the boss fights and the other kind of areas. You know, actually having someone who goes in full grenadier with nothing but grenades and like a shield or something would be also kind of interesting. You know, although I don't think you can do that, because I think they might. I can't remember which hand they go into. But either way, it's still going to be interesting to see all of this pan out. And as soon as it's in the game, I'm going to be bringing it to you guys with a full breakdown of everything as best I can. Maybe I'll enlist Hannah as well, so we'll try the same weapon against each other as we go. Who knows? We'll see. But otherwise, guys, you know, I hope you found this interesting. I know I was a bit all over the place between what I was doing and the combat changes, but you know, I want to do more, and obviously we will come and take a look at this big old hole in this rock face, I guess, another time. But otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.